Are politicians trying to make it harder for you to work from home? That might be the unintended consequences of Bernie Sanders' new bill that he is trying to push through to limit and stop the construction of data centers. Mostly what he's looking for is to construct a framework around how AI is controlled. That is really hard. That is like saying we're going to control the internet. Let's dive deep today into what data centers are, why they're very important. I'm Eric Garrison with WTE. We work with data centers. We use data center technology and cloud technology every single day. So I have some inside facts from our own experiences and things for you to think about as you look at the complicated infrastructure of the modern data centers. Let's start with one thing. Data centers, yes, they use a lot of power. They consume some water. They don't drink water. They're not the big power-hungry monsters drinking all the water in a community. Yes, they do use power because compute power costs a lot of energy to build the AI models and then to run the AI models. But this is really just shifting some of the workloads from where they are today to where they're going. And the shift is actually happening in a way that it's not adding additional traffic to our roads. I was at a doctor's office just a couple days ago that had 2 sets of servers to run their EHR software inside the building. This is the company that is currently transitioning that data workload to the cloud. In this case, offloading and uploading it to the Amazon cloud. In some cases, we may move it to a data center called TierPoint that we work with and have got co-located equipment within North Raleigh and RTP. So what happens there is the power that was going into his server room, Dr. Andy's server room, is now going to be offloaded to AWS. Actually, it's going to be more efficient because he has the AC blasting in that room to keep the equipment. He's got a couple switches, firewalls, 2 servers to run operations there, and they're not small servers. They are good-sized Dell servers. All of that is now being consolidated and actually will be more efficient. The cooling will be lower cost per BTU to have it in the data center. The other thing is he's got way more power than he needs in there because these servers are running 24/7, but let's say that he's only seeing patients 9 to 5. So those machines are consuming as if they are running under full load when they're not. In the data center environment, we're able to better scale up, scale out, and scale back down when not needing that type of throughput. So the data center is actually more efficient. Let's talk for a moment about the impact to a community. There are communities that are offering a lot of incentives. Not far from me here in Roxborough, North Carolina is offering incentives and is bringing in Microsoft to build a data center. So up there, they actually have a lake that is used for power generation cooling. What they're going to be able to do is also repurpose that water. Water is a great medium for cooling, especially high workloads like GPUs. So when you've got a natural resource like a body of water, that's a man-made body of water, access to additional water to be able to cool. It's easier to use a liquid to cool down. And sometimes we're talking about other liquids, but some water is lost to evaporation. That does happen. But most of what they have is a closed loop system. So when we hear about the data center down in Charlotte that is consuming water, it actually doesn't consume it. It takes the water, heats up the water, some of it evaporates and goes up into the atmosphere. That does happen. Some of it doesn't get 100% recaptured because they are making the water pretty hot. And then the water is put back that can be used for other industrial uses or circulated back. It's not dirty, it's not tainted, it's not contaminated. It is just as good, but due to health safety, you send it back to the plant. So that is not destroying the water and consuming the water. It's a loop. And the data center there is better able to cool its computers by using water as a resource than having to buy and use the air and output a lot of heat into the air of the area, as well as it costs less in the energy consumption. So that is something that is definitely a win-win. And what the communities get out of it is a tax base. The average rack, I used to say, in the data center, like what we're in, we average about $250,000 per rack, and so do a lot of other companies. Today with AI and GPUs and the cost of RAM and everything, it's becoming more about $1 million per rack. But it's much more efficient to have those here closer to the sources that are using it. You are. Anytime you ask Siri, Alexa, order something from an online food service, that is using a lot of compute in the cloud, and AI definitely is a lot of the focus right now, but it's not just AI. These data centers are using AI to make the workloads that they normally do, like ordering from Grubhub or DoorDash or getting an Uber to come pick you up, to make that more efficient. Everybody wants to make things more efficient. You could argue that what Bernie Sanders is doing here is actually making things a little less green. That's not his intention, I'm sure. I don't want to talk bad about what Bernie's real intentions here are, but the outcome is going to be less green for sure, because if we have to send this data compute over to China and India that are burning less clean versions of fuel, and a lot of these data centers are coming in and are doing things like solar farms, battery storage, because they want high uptime, as well as natural gas turbines. A couple of the hyperscalers have licensed boom technology out of Greensboro, North Carolina's high-end turbine technology to power their hyperscaler with natural gas. The carbon footprint of that is actually very low, and the transmission of energy is not needed because it's at the source. So these data centers are doing this not necessarily to be green. They're doing it because it's cost effective, smart. They get the high uptime. They get the energy efficiency. This is a side that I don't hear other people talking about of the data centers. Communities are benefiting from that. We pay sales and use tax on the equipment in our data centers. I write a check. We're in Orange County, North Carolina. We have to write a check to Wake and Durham for the equipment that is inside. So those counties we hardly drive into. We barely use any resources over there going to the data centers, but they get the tax revenue. Person County is going to have the same thing with Microsoft coming in. They're going to build a big facility. They're going to add to that poor county's tax base tremendously, giving them the ability to build more schools, more fire support, and build their infrastructure out that they haven't been able to do since manufacturing left years ago. What I'm going to have you do is ask you to do the research before you blatantly say, all AI is bad, these data centers are terrible. This is a lot of not in my own backyard, but you might want to think about what that NIMBY statement is doing, because in your backyard might be a tax base that is better than having a bunch of drive-through restaurants or a bunch of other types of manufacturing or something that brings a lot of traffic. It is a great way to bring tax revenue and to support what we're do here, which is a lot of remote work, video production, and the new modern economy for 2026 and going forward.